What's up guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video I just thought I'd take some time to go over the current macro list that I use for Subtlety Rogue and PvP. Also in the end I'll include something for, I got one macro that's useful for Outlaw and one for Assassination as well that I'll just toss in there. All of these macros in the video will be listed in the description below. And without further ado, let's hop straight into these macros. Also, even though this is a Subtlety Rogue video, once you kind of understand how these macros are written, you can definitely adapt and use this on other classes as well. As a lot of this stuff is pretty basic, and it's just inserting rogue skills into the names of macros in order to get them to work properly. Right off the bat, the first thing I recommend doing is either making Arena 1, 2, 3 and Focus 1, 2, 3 keybinds. Now, some people do choose to use direct abilities. This is just how I do it, and it is technically worse, but I feel like your overall game sense is higher if you work in this manner as opposed to making specific, say, slash cast target equals arena 1 kick and making that for arena 2 and arena 3. I feel like it is way too many binds, and you just kind of look at the arena frames, then you don't pay as much attention to where people are. So anyway, first target, slash arena, or like you can have a show tooltip in this if you want. If you have it on the sidebar, I just have slash target arena 1. That just makes you target the first arena target, slash target arena 2, and slash target arena 3. Pretty straightforward. Moving on, you got focus versions of those macros as well. Slash focus arena 1. You can add this show tooltip if you want. Whatever you put after this, 13. 13 is the name of the top trinket slot. So it shows my Midas talisman right now. And you can make that anything you want. You can make that Shadowstep, Shadow Dance, Shadow Blades, whatever you want. Whatever seems to work for you guys. Also, if it's on a hidden bar like it is for mine, it honestly doesn't matter at this point what it is. Alternatively, instead of making the macro, you guys can go straight into your key bindings and go to targeting. And there is options for target enemy 1, 2, and 3. You can just bind those to whatever you want. Personally, I use A, S, and D, and I strafe with Q and E, and then move forward with W, and then steer with my mouse. It doesn't work for everybody. That's just how I do it. Focus Arena 1, 2, and 3 are also there. I use Shift, A, S, and D respectively. And anyway, on to more Subtlety Rogue specific stuff. So if we go back to my macros here, right off the bat, I got Focus Shadowstep. Pretty basic. Slash cast target equals focus Shadowstep. But that just Shadowstep's my focus. That's all it does. So also, if there's any new players out there that don't know, basically, you can have somebody set to your focus target. So not only am I targeting, I'm targeting this ferret, but my focus target is this Highland Proudhorn. So if I use my focus Shadowstep, it'll just step right to him, and it allows me to essentially have control of 2 people. I can target 2 people at the same time, and through setting up other macros, you could cheap shot one target and then next global immediately cheap shot the off target. It just saves you a lot of time. Moving on to the next, I got stuff for, let's go out for Assassination. Subtlety Rogue specific stuff. We got another one too. It doesn't always have to be, for example, slash target equals focus. You can have a modifier so that if you hold shift, it will do focus target as well. But if you do not hold shift, or whichever modifier you choose, then it will just use it on your target, and that would be slash cast, square brackets, mod shift, target equals focus. Blind. So basically, once again, I'll show you guys. Alright, so here we got some mobs here, just showing you guys my blind macro. So I'm targeting this Elder Horn, and I have this Sorless set to focus. I hold shift and uses blind. And we'll come back in a second here. And this time I'm not holding shift, and I just press my blind, and it just blinds my target. Another thing that's good to know about these shift mod focus macros, so example my blind, like I was mentioning, you can use these for anything. You can use them for kick if you're another class, and you can use this for polymorph, fear, kidney shot, cheap shot, whatever you need to use this skill for, it's good, or like whatever you need to use this for, it's good. And the reason you would use the Shadowstep version of this macro, like without Shadowstep, and just the regular focus, is if you want to bind that to a totally different keybind. Say you want cheap shot on C, and you want focus cheap shot on V. Obviously, the shift modifier macro is not going to be useful to you, and I recommend using this and then binding each button separately on your bar. Okay, so another thing that's good to note about the shift modifier macros is that if you have in your Okay, where's this at here? You want to make sure you have focus cast key on none if you're going to use modifier macros like this. Otherwise, they may not work. You don't need to make macros necessarily either, because you can just bind. You can just click shift here and it'll do that. Just pick your path. You want to use no macros. That is definitely the way to do things. But I don't believe that's why a lot of people are here. So if you are going to use shift and alt mods, make sure that this is clicked to none. That is really important. And then in keybinds, say for me, I have my blind bound to scroll up. We want to make sure that scroll up is on keybound, so you can pick something that's not bound. Say put scroll up. It says successfully bound, and then we click that and unbind it. That will guarantee that it is not bound to anything, and that macro should have no problem working for you. Okay, anyway, moving on here to the next thing. Okay, so moving on to the next macro. Okay, so I use weird dance macros. Okay, so back in the day, Shadow Dance used to get your own action bar whenever you press Shadow Dance. Nowadays, if you just press Shadow Dance, it pages over to your stealth bar, right? So, click Shadow Dance here, goes to my stealth bar. For me, I hated that because my Shadow Dance bar was always set up to mirror my original action bar. Now, there's two ways you can do this. I really recommend, if you have not got used to your keybinds yet, bind all of your stealth abilities to an off bar so that this is not a problem. It'll save you a ton of trouble. But if you're like me and you learn to play rogue where, say, you're used to hitting 2 for cheap shot and stealth, and then your bar pages over, and then you're able to use your backstab and stuff like that, then this is how I do it. I kept that Shadow Dance bar by using a macro. I have a couple of these. I have them for different skills. It changes my action bar over to a second page. Action bar 2 here, /change action bar 2, is a totally unused action bar that is not normally placed. It's not the bottom left, it's not bottom right, side, or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a totally free action bar that anybody can use if they want. And it's just /cast Shadow Dance. This is my symbols macro as well. Now, I do have symbols in this. This is like my burst dance button for when I only use this when I'm not going to overcap energy. I do have Shadow Dance bound by itself as well. And I have this /use 13, and that's I said before, that's my top trinket slot. So I'll pop my trinket and my Shadow Dance, and it won't pop symbol, so I can pop that at a optimal time where I'm not going to be overcapping my energy. So I have both of those. I'll display those on screen here. And then I have another macro too, where I can use Shadow Dance if I'm not in stealth. If I'm in stealth, it will not use Shadow Dance, which is really sweet because then you can use these binds when you're still in stealth and you will not pop your Shadow Dance. This was my way to get around the fact that they remove dance bar, and it also is my way to get around there's some bar lag. When you press Shadow Dance, your bar has to page over, and if you immediately press a button the moment that happens, it'll cause you to use the wrong ability sometimes. So for me, if I was to vanish and press cheap shot, I might go too quick, and then my cheap shot, or I would actually backstab my target because I have backstab outside of stealth on that same keybind. So that was my way around this. Basically, I have all these bound to an off bar, so bar paging is not an issue. I have this for both cheap shot on regular target and focus target. So it's just /cast target equals focus cheap shot. The only difference is that without it, it would just be /cast cheap shot, which I can show you guys right here. There's the cheap shot version of the macro. And then the downside to this way of doing things is that I have to manually switch back my bar, which would be /changeactionbar 1, and that is also in the keybinds, which I can show you guys in a second. But I do have this bound to stealth, and my finger sits on stealth all the time, as well as this. I really recommend this macro for any new players. It has /stop attack in it, and what that allows me to do is someone can be like sheeping my target, and I could just stun him, and a sheep could land at the exact same moment, and before my auto attack goes off, I press my stealth keybind and my auto attack just totally stops and I won't break that CC. I can stop my auto attack at the drop of a hat, and it saves you so many games when you have to land a clutch CC. Your mage might be trying to peel somebody off of you and you're just kind of stuck in their face. An auto attack isn't going to go through if you're prepared for that and you press your stealth keybind in this case. You could bind this to anything. Stealth is a very good button to do so. And on top of this, I use the same kind of macro to page my action bar over on Vanish as well. Some of this slash cancel or subterfuge probably not needed anymore. There was a bug back in the day why I needed to do this. And slash stop attack also really good here again. So sometimes there was a bug in the past again. Really, you just need to have that change action bar 1 and slash cast vanish if you are going to run this method. Like I said, it's just the way I do things. I actually don't recommend it. I recommend binding all of your stealth abilities though to an off bar so that this is not a problem. But these macros, even if you do that, you don't have to add the slash change action bar. So if you want to have that dance macro where you just dance cheap shot, and if you're in stealth, it'll just use cheap shot, then this is still a great macro to use. Not that one specifically, this macro here. So basically, like I said, it dances if you're not in stealth, and it cheap shots no matter what. Also, like I said, I was going to mention, if you go to interface and then keybinds, or the game menu and then keybinds, you go to action bar, you can find the action pages. If you scroll down, action page 1 and 2, I have those keybound to shift mouse wheel down, control mouse wheel down. That just allows me to, if I dance, switch my action bar back. If I switch it back too early, obviously it will be my stealth bar, because that is what is active during dance. Alright, another macro here, kind of taking a page out of my Shadow Dance cheap shot macros, is the Shadow Strike macro slash backstab macro. And what that does is, if you are in stealth, it will use Shadow Strike. If you're out of stealth, it will use backstab. And if I'm dancing, it will use Shadow Strike as well. Just a convenient way to have your correct move, no matter which stance, always active for you. I really recommend that for anybody if you're trying to save bar space and you're someone like me that just kind of makes sense to have Shadow Strike and backstab on the same keybind. Yeah, that's that. Lastly, before I go, I'll also show my sap macro. This macro is pretty useful. I have it set to stop attack too, so if you're going to dance sap with this, you won't just run up and auto attack your target off of whatever you're trying to sap off, like kidney shot or blind. And so basically what this does is it tries to spam target the closest thing. Now you have to keep in mind, if there's a healer on a pillar nearby and you're searching for a rogue and you're spamming the sap macro, it is still going to sap that healer, obviously. So be aware of that. And I've added a mouse over option as well. So what this means is if I'm targeting this rabbit over here and I mouse over this proud horn and I press sap, as long as my cursor is showing the sword like over top of him, so I'm mousing over him, it will sap him. Oh, one more thing before I go. Okay, for those of you guys for World PvP, for engineering, useful macros here. If you have a macro that is /use6, that will use any belt attachments you have. So for me right now, I got the allows you to walk on water, increases swim speed. This thing has been amazing so far to me in World PvP. And as well as I have one for my cape for that glider kit. And then if I hold Alt, it uses a glider kit in case I have some emergency glider kits on me in case I get a cape upgrade and I forget to add that attachment. The cape socket is 15 though. Just make sure when writing these macros, guys, that when you have a new line, so you have, say, the show tooltip, you show whichever tooltip you want. If you want to add something, you put a space after that. You add, say, Shadowstep. You can shift-click things from your spell book to make sure they're spelled correctly. And then on the beginning of every slash in the start of a line here, you want to make sure there's no space in front of it. Otherwise, the macro won't work. I think other than that, that's pretty well going to cover it. And right, the assassination macro, last thing. Assassination macro that I was going to provide for you guys too is simply for Vendetta. It's kind of similar to those dance macros I was showing you guys. Basically, if I'm in stealth, I can use Vendetta from stealth because Vendetta will not break stealth when you press it. And if I'm in stealth, it won't just pop my trinket because your trinkets cannot be used in stealth. They will bring you out. So this, you can Vendetta from stealth, say if you wanted to. And then when you open up, you press it again, you pop your unused trinket, so you don't accidentally press Vendetta and bring yourself out of stealth. I really recommend that. The other macro is for Outlaw here, and it's to make your grappling hook a little bit more efficient. I should have it kicking around here somewhere in this giant mess. Okay, it's right here. We found it finally. That was like a whole minute of me searching for that. So /cast at cursor in square brackets. It's really important to make sure those brackets are square, guys, as well. If they're regular brackets, they won't work. So /cast at cursor grappling hook, and I'll actually show you guys real quick how that works. So basically, normally the grappling hook, if you use it, it gives you this circle, and you can you click somewhere and it'll go there. If you use this macro, You just place your mouse somewhere and you press it and it'll go straight to your mouse. You just have to be more aware of where your mouse is, but it is definitely one less click. It will make you way faster for that. Anyway, guys, this video has been going on about 15 minutes. It's time to wrap it up. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Consider giving the video a like. Subscribe for more, and we'll see you guys all next time.